Well, I decided it was time to leave English Bay and head out to Fort Langley, British Columbia, to talk to a fellow who'd also grown up along the shores of Kitsilano, Doug Sturrock, who saw Louis Armstrong when he was in grade 10, making him a graduate of the 1954 class at Kitsilano High School. And he saw Louis Armstrong play on stage at Kitsilano in 1952, the show recorded by Jack Cullen. So I hopped the transit, took the SkyTrain out to Surrey, and got onto the Surrey bus that took me to Fort Langley. And I kept thinking about the Hudson Bay Company. Now, my father worked for the Hudson Bay Company in the 50s, and the Hudson Bay Company is all over the Lower Mainland and all over Canada. And now I'm going out to the original Hudson Bay fort in Fort Langley, where Doug Sturrock now lives. And he agreed that he'd pick me up at the Colossus Theatre. Well, I'm thinking that must be a quaint little theatre like we all grew up with at the Hollywood, and the Hollywood Theatre and the Ridge Theatre, the Dunbar Theatre, all those suburban theatres that we all grew up with. Thinking that's where I'm going to meet Doug, at a nice little theatre. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. But Doug did meet me and took me on a little tour of Fort Langley. But here's Doug as we got out to Fort Langley, and him having been a 35-year man as a teacher at McGee later in his career, and a great rugby coach. But as a teacher, he explained to me that there were 2 locations of Fort Langley. Thank you, Doug. There it is, still there. It's some of the oldest buildings on the west coast of Canada.